February 20th. It is President's Day if you observe it. And I am joined by none other than my dear friend, my producer, my co host, my homie, Chris Alaimo. Welcome back.
What's up, Q? Man, it's weird being on a different seat. What does it mean observing President's Day? Like, if you celebrate it, what do you celebrate President's Day with? Are you president? Do you gotta do that?
Well, so like as someone who's unemployed, like holidays, I don't celebrate every holiday because like I'm never at work. But I remember at Bitcoin Magazine, like President's Day is a holiday that you guys
Oh,
get.
not this year, my friend.
Not
It's a
this
bad
year.
bear market.
Man, shit's really gone downhill.
Not this
I'd
year,
have
my
something to say
friend.
about that.
You can hit up CK after this.
I will absolutely hit up CK after this. Bro. That's un-American. But no, so okay. So you guys at Bitcoin Magazine are not observing President's Day.
Not
My
this year, no.
girlfriend, she does not observe, her company does not observe President's Day. So that is what I mean. Like if you got today off, good for you. Your company observes President's Day. I hope you were productive and had a wonderful day. And I am grateful that you are here tuning in at the end of your holiday weekend with us. All right. I want to start with the story that you and I were talking about offline because Chris thinks this is fake. I think whether it's fake or not, it raises a lot of red flags and questions as to just this is where we are as, we try to build a global monetary network. But apparently, inscription 2042 sounds like this. I realize I'm playing that and the volume's in my headphones and it stopped playing. But
I heard it. I heard it.
Oh, you heard it?
I did.
Okay, great. It's a fart. Apparently. Yeah. Allegedly, inscription 2042 is a fart. I get it. Free market, whatever you want to put on. If someone wants it, right? Like we sold fart in a jars, and this is just the digitized version of fart in a jar. Apparently, according to Reddit, however, inscription 2042 sold for roughly 280,000 US dollars, or about 12.3 Bitcoin. So that's 2 entry tickets into eternal titties, eternal riches, and big titty bitties.
Bitches.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, dude. Big titty bitches, eternal riches, and big titty bitches.
I mean, freedom money and unconfiscatable money, and this is what we do. I mean, let's be honest. Like the internet was always going to go this route, but I do think, honestly, that it sounded like fake. Like I don't think that's a real fart. Like I think that's literally like soundboard fart, like that you'd find. But I don't know. That's just me.
I'm gonna save that as like my soundboard fart. Because like in the event that it is real, well, guess what? That's a $280,000 or 12.3 Bitcoin fart every time I play it.
Yeah.
Come get me for copyright. I dare you. Whoever owns inscription 2042, if it is in fact a fart, please confirm it. Let us know. But also,
I don't know how copyright law works with inscriptions and like cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. Like it's not a thing, but like I don't know. It's fascinating. I don't know. I do think, and so I will caveat, like I do think inscriptions do have a place. Like people, for example, like if you're in China and you want to send a message and the government's like stopping your message, you can write an inscription that like maybe it's plans for, in the case of this happens, go to this location, and that's like forever there. So I do think there is something for it. I know that people have talked from the 3D gun printing community, said they want to put up like the PDFs or the blueprints for how to like 3D print guns. Maybe like a WikiLeaks could use this for like, hey, a government says you need to shut down your servers and your website. You're like, bro, it's in the inscription. Like you can't shut this down. Like governments, US, foreign or abroad, can't stop these things. So like, I do think inscriptions do have a place, but it's very funny that like, it's very much the meme and NFT culture that it is today. But like, I do think they have value. Like is valuable information that can be relayed through inscriptions. I guess that's
And
my 2 cents
hey,
on it.
memes are also valuable. Like
That's
memes have
true.
a
That's
play.
true.
Memes are valuable, but like we can objectively look at this and say like, hey, we probably don't need a fart on the blockchain. Just possibly, maybe in some future civilization, we've progressed so far that like we no longer fart. But I'm more concerned about like what are we eating at that point of humanity that like we're not farting. Because
I
if you're
mean,
not farting, you're not eating healthy.
the thing that's the saddest part, like I would have been embarrassed to pay 100,000 sats. I think it's even worse that you said this guy's paying like, a
He made
private bank.
12.3 Bitcoin. Like
Yeah,
not an
exactly. Like,
insignificant sum.
yeah, like an executive at a bank salary for this fart inscription. Like it's absurd.
Oh man. So I'm curious. Do you think just the fact that something like this can be done, or the fact that most of the inscriptions now are just different JPEGs. Like Jason Williams brought over his board eight to the Ordinal blockchain. Now that's like up for debate, and like it's turning into its own whole thing about whether or not he could do that. So like, is there a place of privilege where like that's the majority of conversations happening around Bitcoin versus, out of necessity, different countries like having their information stored on the blockchain, or like sending things like how to make 3D printed guns because, we're desperate and there's some crazy,
Authoritarian
situation,
government like fighting their
right?
citizens and
Like
stuff
we like these are not actual concerns that we have today right now. So does that leave room for ordinals to essentially like, I don't want to say blossom because they almost paints it and not, my bias will come out. Saying it blossoms into this, like it's too positive of a connotation, but like it's transforming into just like exactly what the NFTs were. And if that's all this is going to be, like this kind of just feels silly to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think like history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Like I'm going to assume like 99% of the inscriptions are going to go to zero or near zero. Maybe a few people profit along the way, but I think there's only going to be like 1% that are valuable, quote unquote, like we said, 3D printed guns, like a WikiLeaks type situation, or just giving information that's valuable or quote unquote like someone actually sees as valuable, not just as like a dick butt JPEG on the blockchain. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's my 2 cents for it. I do think it makes, I don't want to say perverse incentive, but it's definitely like if you're trying to do an inscription, you're trying to assume that 1 sat doesn't equal 1 sat. I know that there's like art attached to it, but like you're definitely trying to create this like secondary like market dynamic of like this 1 sat costs more than 1 sat. You know what I mean? And to your point, like paying 12.5 Bitcoin, like I said, I'd be embarrassed to pay 100,000 sats, let alone 12.5 Bitcoin worth for the
Right.
fart
Like
sound inscription.
like that's the part of this equation that it will never, from everything I've learned about Bitcoin. So either I have a lot more to, let me rephrase that. I already have a lot more to learn about Bitcoin, like that,
But
full
there's a
stop.
whole nother avenue that you weren't
But
considering, or
now it's like, oh, now have to reconsider the possibility that 1 sat doesn't equal 1 sat. And that was like the whole basis of this immutable money,
yeah.
this just digital gold with a hard cap that was supposed to not
Well,
inflate.
so there's a good question. Like, God forbid Satoshi's coins were to come back on the market. Let's just say, like, not the Genesis block, but like Bitcoin, Bitcoin 51, like as in, the Genesis block, the 50 Bitcoin are locked in. But if Bitcoin 51 or, the 51st Bitcoin that was mined, would someone pay an enormous a fee for like Satoshi's Bitcoin? Like verifiable, like it's on the market, like we're selling it at auction. Somehow someone got a handle of it. Maybe Satoshi's like, hey, I'm selling my first Bitcoin. What do you think, like realistically, that goes for? I'm assuming it goes for more than 1 Bitcoin, but I don't know. Like we're not in that situation. I'm assuming some person would pay way more to say like this is the Bitcoin, and maybe they put it, I don't want to say in a burn address, but like they put it in an open dime, or they put it like in something to like in case like this is the first Bitcoin that was available on the Bitcoin blockchain from Satoshi. It's verifiable. I'm not saying that will happen, but like what do you think the market goes for? If someone's going to pay 12.5 for the fart, at least it's got to go for more than 12.5. You know what I mean? Like,
I hope that I accidentally stumbled into like just 10 sats from Satoshi's wallet, and that one day someone offers me just one Bitcoin for 10 sats. Like, sure, sure. I'd honestly feel,
If that happens too, I'm more convinced it's like the NSA that created Bitcoin and they're like dust attacking us so we can track what we do.
I mean, honest to God, man, like, I don't think I could look at someone seriously if they were to be like, hey, man, like, I'm trying to, like, I want to recreate like one whole Bitcoin of Satoshi's, and like, I track 10 sats to one of your wallets. Like, can you send me these 10 sats? And, I'll give you a whole Bitcoin in exchange for that. I will look at this man as though like whatever you're gonna send me is gonna like be a virus. Like, you go to the other side of the street, sir. Do not speak to me about my Bitcoin anymore. Like, honestly, that's
Yeah.
just how I feel. You present a very valid question. Like, where does this then stop? Um, what about, and I'd love to hear what either you've heard or what you think of the idea of like, hey guys, like, why not just do this as a layer two? Like, why does
Yes.
this have to be done on the
Yeah.
actual
So
blockchain?
So that's a good point. And I've heard Casey Rodimer, the guy that invented Ordinals, speak about this. And basically, he was saying, not that he started shitcoining, but he's kind of like, hey, I want to bring Bitcoin to the masses. And at first, he's like, he had digital art that he wanted to distribute, and he's like, I tried doing it on testnet on Ethereum. He's like, I never shipped it, like never, I didn't. He said he didn't hold ETH. I'll believe him at his word for that. But basically, he's like, I was trying to do this on ETH, and I'm like, this is literally dog shit. Like their code, the base chain of the code, and he was basically saying that you know on Ethereum, like when you say, "Oh, I own this NFT," he's like, a lot of time it's like a server at Amazon. Like Amazon could be like, "Oh, like the Ethereum Foundation didn't pay their bills this month. Like we're reversing these, not reversing these transactions, but yeah, in Ethereum, reversing the transactions, or you don't actually own this. Like you go where your NFT is, and the server's down because they didn't pay their bill." So he said, and he saw this on a lot of different blockchains. So at first he was thinking like, "Oh, I want to put art that like lives forever in Bitcoin." And then he was like, well, maybe there's like an experience that like, hey, like you have to do it on Bitcoin and not on your shitcoin. So now they're learning about Bitcoin. And then one of the ingenious things about Ordinals, I made a joke about it last week when we were talking, is that it requires your own node. Like he does not provide the own node. And you could run a prune node or a simpler node or a light case node, but you have to run a Bitcoin node on your computer. Like it could be on the back end or you could be running it. But at the same time, it's like, oh, I need to learn how to run a Bitcoin node. And he's getting more shitcoiners to run Bitcoin nodes than like probably any other project in recent years, I would say, or like a lot of times like Ledger Live, like they are running a node for you. So like while you see your balance and you connect it to your phone, your app, and your device, like you are using their node. In this project, you have to run your own node in order to do the whole Ordinals thing. Obviously, you can go to ordinals.com and you're like using that node. But if you want to partake and you want to have an inscription and do all of that, like it's your own node, which is it's cool. It's like he's bringing shitcoiners over, and he's like, I want to bring shitcoiners over and like kind of dangle the carrot and the stick of like, I'm not going to hit you with the stick, but like, hey, you love these NFTs and hey, you love all this shit, but like, you got to do it over on Bitcoin. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Casey's like orange pilling of the shitcoiners is definitely fascinating for sure.
I mean, look, I can't argue with the fact that we've seen more nodes, Bitcoin nodes, turn on as a result of ordinals than quite possibly any event in the history of just Bitcoin's run up. Like, usually when the price
Yeah.
goes up, you're not really seeing like
Nodes come online.
nodes. No, you see like more wallets, but to your point, like they're all connecting to
An
what?
exchange or,
Yeah,
whatever it may be, basically.
yeah. So you can't argue with the logic of like, hey, we're onboarding a lot of people, and I respect that, I appreciate that. You're doing a hell of a lot more work than I am, just having individual conversations with friends and family before they laugh me out of the room. But you know, I do think, again, and I go back to this idea that like we have a certain financial privilege, like pun intended.
Great book. Great book.
Shout out Alex Gladstein. Like, we have the privilege to play with ordinals on the main network, like plain and simple. I don't think that luxury is provided to everyone in the world who needs Bitcoin right now, while many of us can just Huddle.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, hold on. Like, I'm talking about myself for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the privileged person who like doesn't need Bitcoin, and I just hodl it. So if you feel attacked, don't worry. Like, you're in the same boat as I am.
I want to throw in a story real quick. This got announced a couple days ago. So Argentina, obviously, they're experiencing like a hyperinflation crisis, and the numbers just came in for 2022, and it said that if you held Bitcoin as of like a few days ago, if you held Bitcoin for all of 2022 or even maybe the tail end of 2021, you've had a better, like, you've gained money or purchasing power relative to the Argentinian peso. Even though Bitcoin has crashed 70%, the Argentinian peso has crashed that much more, that you've gained purchasing power in Argentinian pesos, which is phenomenal. Like, I mean, not phenomenal. It's good for Argentinian Bitcoin holders, but horrible for the country of Argentina. I mean, February 1st, their banks devalued it like 10-1, meaning that, like, if you had $50,000 in the bank, they took $45,000 and you were left with $5,000 that they devalued it, basically, which is, it's criminal. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the clips, and linking this Argentina to Lebanon. I understand they're in different parts of the world, but like Lebanon, people are like burning down banks or like threatening bank executives, and like civil unrest is happening there because their currency is hyperinflating away. And I think Lebanon's even worse. It's worse in the sense that they're like, yeah, we're holding your own money and you're not allowed to take it out. Where Argentina is like, even though they're confiscating it, they're like, oh, we're devaluing it. So like, you still have your money, but like, we devalued it and all that. Like, where Lebanon, you can't even get a hold of your money. So even though you've gone down 90% purchasing power, in Lebanon, it might be like that you don't even have it. And there's many stories of people with sick family members that like they can't pay for the treatments because their money's locked up in a bank, and they're like, we want it. Like, I'm robbing this bank to get my own money out of the bank, and it's horrible. But like, that's the state of the world right now. And we, like, you and I can talk about, for privileged first world country for sure, but like, things are not good in emerging markets or developing nations. And it's kind of like the dollar milkshake theory, that like all these other currencies are going to experience hyperinflation events, and they're going to go into the euro, the yen, the Chinese yuan, the US dollar, and like ultimately there'll be like a few good currencies, but most of these countries are going to be like, and outlined once again in Check Your Financial Privilege, basically it's kind of like these more colonizing nations are going to get the privilege. And then eventually, once it all collapses into those big currencies, then we will experience our own hyperinflation crises. I mean, we've had 8% inflation over the last 18 months, 24 months, which is not good, but it's much better than a lot of other parts of the world. Sorry for my long rant there, but I don't know if there's anything you want to add there, Q.
Bro, why you don't apologize? Keep rating. Like, I was just gonna chime in with, like, we saw similar stuff out of Nigeria at an earlier point this calendar year.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah, like, it's, again, there are parts of the world that need Bitcoin today, right now, and then there are, the developed countries that most of the people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis live in, reside in, and benefit from these systems. The scary and sad part, honestly, the scary and sad part, in my opinion at least, is like, there's no, outside of something like Bitcoin, there's no real solution offered to these smaller countries. You're just sort of like dealing with the inevitable collapse of their monies, and then at the same time you're trying to, I think, figure out a way, if you're in that country, to just survive. But your government's not of any help. A moment where, hey, appropriate foreign aid, like, we would welcome it, like, that's not coming in any way that's helpful to you. So, all right, we're going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
I wanted to, while our hearts are bleeding, this is just, I read this story and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So, guess what all the people holding the Celsius bag just got?
I'm not sure.
They got their 1099 tax returns
No.
from Celsius, requiring them to pay income taxes on the money that is trapped, that they will not get access to from Celsius.
So wait, okay. So I guess tell me
So if you
this,
earned
and
interest,
yeah. So it's only on the interest though. It's not like if
yes,
I had
correct.
10,000 in there and I got, let's just say $60, I pay on the $60, not like on $1,060, right? Or whatever it
Yeah,
may be.
yeah. So like to
Okay.
take you to
But
an
that's still
extreme
that's a
example.
fucking punch in the dick. You know what I mean? Like you have my money. I'm not getting the money that I made interest on.
You probably never will. And then on top of
Oh
that,
yeah.
though, you've got to pay the taxes on it because like you earn the money. You could have taken it out, bro. Look, I I'm taking this story from somewhere else, so I'm not doxing him. He's already been doxed. This guy out of San Antonio, Doug Stringer, apparently has a right now roughly $2.8 million still tied up in Celsius. At its peak, was apparently worth $100 million. So he says he got a tax bill $67,000.
Mm, that's so fucking rough.
Let this just be a gentle reminder to get your Bitcoin off of an exchange. Stop with the yield. Like, that's not a real thing.
Where
Yield,
does the yield come from? As Alan Farrington says, the yield was the friends we got along the way, right?
dude. I mean, I do, like, there's a part of me though that doesn't blame people because we come up in a society where you're taught like save your money with some interest and put it here, and that all of a sudden like
But
you're
that's only
good.
because
So
of a
the
broken money. Like our
but
grandparents thought of that because it was like broken. Like my great grandmother was making like 6% in like savings accounts and banks in like 1930s. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's absurd.
no, like you're not wrong. Like 100%, it only works because it's a broken system. But I think more so the point should be that it was still ingrained in us. So this idea that we need to go chase it, and the fact that like it's presented as though like look, we will offer you 18%, just like use the Celsius coin and we'll give you 18% returns. Like the only reason we thought we needed that was because we came up with the idea that like I should be my money should be earning money. No, unless you put your money to work, literally buying an asset to generate you money, your money should not just be sitting in an account
Yeah.
generating you more money. If you go and invest it in other things, sure,
Yeah.
fine. Like, McShane will call me a shitcoiner if I bring up equities, but like, like if you want to own equities, like no one's going to stop you. Like, also, like, if anyone who is pro ordinal tries to sell you an ordinal or holds ordinals, gives you shit for owning a stock, like, just smack them in the face for me and tell them
If you want
Q
to, if you
sent
want to
you.
send me your fart inscription for 12 and a half Bitcoin, I'm not going to pay you that amount of Bitcoin, but
Um, so, okay, we talked the Celsius story. There's another one that's less heartbreaking, but I think still, it's the never ending saga of Mount Gox. So apparently, they have until March 10th to decide if they want to get 10 cents on the dollar, essentially a 90% reduction in the value, but be paid out now in Bitcoin, or get paid out in fiat in potential, and like they're saying, like roughly 9 years to get paid out, but it'll be in all fiat. Um, Chris, what are you picking?
so you're saying it's 100% fiat potentially over 9 years.
Potentially, but not over 9 years. In 9 years after litigation, so there's no guarantee
All right, or 10% of the stack in
in
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin right now.
Oh, I mean, I
The
think you just
fact that
got
you
to.
thought about it is
I think you just got to take the loss and take the Bitcoin. That's what I'm
well,
doing.
absolutely. You just take like
I mean,
personally. That's
like,
what
I don't know what the US dollar is going to be worth in 9 years. Like, no, I'm just like weighing it out. Like, I think you just got to you got to write your loss off. Maybe you can get beneficial tax treatment and say that you took a 90% loss on your investment.
Yeah, shout out real Bitcoin dog. He knows what's up. Who
Yeah.
also
I heard one of the biggest creditors of the Mount Gox thing said he was taking the Bitcoin or taking his payout in Bitcoin and wasn't planning on selling it. At least maybe that was color commentary, but
so wait, he was saying that he's going to take the 10%.
I didn't know it was a reduction in cost. He said he was going to take his payout in Bitcoin. He's not selling. He's like, yeah, like when I get paid out of my Mt. Gox thing, I'm not dumping these on the market. Like I'm hodling them, which is good. Props to him. He's probably an OG Bitcoiner.
Maybe he's just saying that so the market doesn't get spooked, but he's just gonna like.
So he's trying to dump.
Yeah, like if you've learned nothing in the last 6 months, never take anyone's word at face value.
So when we see those Mt. Gox coins move like twice, like very quickly, it leaves the Mt. Gox account, and then it's in his, and it's dumped back on the market.
Doesn't even go into cold storage. It goes just wallet to wallet.
He just puts it into Blue Wallet, Hot Wallet, and just dumps it on the market.
Yeah, so it looks like the never-ending saga with Mt. Gox will continue for the next 9 years. Like, oh my god, I can't believe at one point last year we actually thought we would be like done with Mt. Gox.
You know, it's the crazy thing. Like, are you like, can you defer that? Like, in 9 years, I want the Bitcoin, but I'm holding out for 100% Bitcoin, or is it like no, like take it or leave it?
If I read the article correctly, they specify saying like you get paid in Bitcoin now or fiat in the future.
Yo, that bankruptcy, like fiduciary or wherever that's like being held, like, yo, we're just banking on this Bitcoin mooning in the next 9 years to pay out the fiat portion, or just like hold the Bitcoin that they pay out. That's so ridiculous.
Right, but think of it like this: like, if you're willing to wait out those 9 years, but you think Bitcoin is a better money than any fiat, and you think that Bitcoin could potentially, what does it need to do? 9x, 10x? No, it literally needs to 10x.
Literally 10x, yeah.
To then be worth what you would get paid out in fiat. So if you think there's
but that's in today's dollars too. Like you're not accounting like the devaluation of the dollar in 9 years. Like you have to
I'm trying to make math easy. I'm trying to make the math easy. I don't want to. I don't want to deal with the decreasing value of the dollar on top of the increasing. I just want to, like, if you think Bitcoin 10x is in the next 9 years, like, if you're a Mt. Gox like credit holder, like you take the Bitcoin right now. That to me is the no brainer part, because if you think it even more than 10x is, then you're literally leaving money on the table.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming realistically, like what's Bitcoin's market right now? We're at 400 billion, 450 billion. The gold market cap's 20 trillion. So that's a 20x right there. So you're better off taking the 10% devaluation. And I assume like the conservative case is it goes after gold as a store of value, and you 20x right off there. You know what I mean? Like pretty easy numbers on that. I think it's going to do more than that, but you know, we'll let the market decide. The market still thinks fart inscriptions are worth 12.5 Bitcoin. So there's that.
Hopefully not for much longer, but also just real quick while I did mention, equities and just that stuff, earnings season for some of our crypto adjacent or Bitcoin adjacent equities, as I like to call them, Coinbase and Block both report tomorrow, and then CoinShares will report on Wednesday. So
did MicroStrategy report last week? I think I thought they just reported, or maybe it's this week.
Let me check. May 1st. That doesn't make sense.
No, that has to be for the next quarter. Oh, they had it February 2nd. They did it a couple weeks ago. My bad.
Okay. Dang. I could not find it. I was just Google searching it and I could not find it like a moron. Haha. I guess I'll just ask you, because like I don't really care about being like proper, because it's late night and it's honestly I still can't believe you're awake right now.
Yeah, dude, I'm always up.
Give me the percent chance you think like we're legitimately in a new bull market.
When you say that, you mean like the bottom has already happened and we're only up from here, or do you like the sideways chop?
No, there can be pullbacks. There could be healthy pullbacks, but like yes, the bottom is in.
I think the bottom's in. Yes, I think we're gonna chop for another year because, or maybe not another year, at least another 6 months, because then we will be about 6 months out from the halvening, and then normally the bull markets are 18 months after the halvening is like where it rips, it peaks around there, 17, 18, 19 months, and then the bottom falls out again. The next dick butt scams on Bitcoin will be the next thing of the bull market. Actually, I have been calling this, and I don't know if you agree, Q. My question to you: what's going to be the next scam of the next bull run from the altcoins and the shit
Dude,
coins?
Ordinals, dumbass.
No, wrong. AI coins. You need this
Oh
AI
man,
coin to work. Buy my coin to get your AI bots to work. That's my thing.
dude, AI is like the biggest stupid buzzword on Wall Street this year. All you have to
That's
do
how
is
you
say
know
it.
it's going to be the shit coin of the
But
future.
that's how you know the bottom's on it. And if I'm just being real, the
Oh, we still
fact
have a
that
lot
like
more
you
to
can
go.
move the market if you just say AI enough times on an earnings call tells me that there's still a little too much froth in the market.
Did you ever watch Silicon Valley, the show?
Oh,
We definitely talked about it.
loved Silicon Valley on HBO. Honestly, go get the HBO subscription just to go watch that for a little bit. It's great.
Until Ehrlich leaves, and then it gets a little weird after that. But Ehrlich was a great part of it, in my opinion. Um, but no, remember when they're doing the whole VR thing? When he's like, "Yo, if you mention VR or alternate reality, like the VCs love that shit," and like they basically do this whole like incubator program for getting like VR people in.
I don't remember that one. I remember their ICO.
Oh my gosh, you have to
What
rewatch
season
it.
was the VR?
Probably season 2. It was Jin Yang was like coming up with like this new
Oh, it
stuff.
was his VR company.
Yeah,
Yes.
he said like octopus, and he's like, yes, like Oculus, yes, but then he was literally like catching octopus like off like Japan's coasts.
Oh, just honestly elite comedy.
It
So
was good.
so good. Oh, Pied Piper.
That's literally Robin Hood.
Yeah. Hey man, we only say good things about Robin Hood for now. If I invite you back, that probably means that we can say bad things about Robin Hood. I don't mean that. Please hire me. Okay. So we talked about all of the fun things. Do you want to talk? Which scammer do you want to talk about now?
Oh man, just give me the list.
You can choose from 3AC,
Mm-hmm.
Doquan, FTX, Binance, CZ. Literally,
I don't
you
want
could.
to, even though I do think there's some shady shit going on at Binance. I'm giving CZ the benefit of the doubt for now. But although it looks like exactly what FTX was doing, like the 400 billion of like BUSD like moved. I was like, this looks like commingling of client funds if I've ever seen it. But that's just allegations. But let's talk about the Three Arrows Capital boys, Suzu and Kyle Davies. Wait, Q, you saw this news from a couple weeks ago. They were raising $30
Yes.
million at GTX. And it's like GTX, G comes after F. I was like, holy crap. And Arthur Hayes said, well, congrats to the boys. They actually completed their raise. I don't think they got the full 30 million, or at least I'm not sure. But BitMEX had a stake in Three Arrows Capital, and he's like, "Boys, I want to get paid. Lift tickets are expensive." I was like, "I love you, Arthur Hayes." It's so he tweeted that out. Like,
Lift tickets are expensive.
he's like, "Your boy needs to get paid back first, my guy." Like,
Oh my god. I mean, I like these guys have really given, you and I used to joke about how like there was an old saying that, I used to say and in Hollywood where it's like, in Hollywood, in sports and in politics, those are the only places where you can be bad at your job, get fired, and somehow end up with a promotion.
cough,
Uh,
Adam Gase as a
uh,
Jets fan.
Dude, I mean, look, it's like the list goes on and on. But now apparently you could be a crypto founder, specifically a crypto founder, and you can fail so gloriously that you bankrupt. How many billions of dollars did 3AC burn? And then you can go out and you can raise what? Sure, they didn't get the first full 30 billion, but they got a few billion.
No,
Like,
it wasn't billion. It was million to start.
okay,
30 million. But still, I mean, that's starting off a crypto exchange with two guys. You're basically paying their salaries and you're giving them I think it was 18 million, which is like absurd.
my God. I mean,
So you want to talk about Odell's favorite scammer of the moment right now?
wait, no, but like I want to explain. Also, isn't it called CoinFlex? No,
CoinFlex.
no, never mind. That's something else. Um, did we? Did you say what this platform that these guys are founding is actually going to be like buying and selling though?
Oh
Because
yeah,
that
I didn't mention it, but yeah, they're basically buying distressed debt. So basically exactly like the Mount Gox. Like, oh, we'll buy your Mount Gox share at 5% of the value of whatever it is. So they'll get the arbitrage of if you don't take the 10% in Bitcoin, like they'll buy it at 5% of the total value, and then they'll immediately exchange it in, or they're basically just trying to do quick oh, or buy your Celsius distressed debt, your FTX distressed thing. Like they're trying to do claims and file bankruptcy claims. I
I
guess it's
wonder.
smart for the business, but they're I think it's fraudulent. They're scammers scamming people that
Dude,
got scammed.
literally, it's like a textbook scam to me. It's like, oh, you
It's like
got fucked
loan
over.
sharks like
Like,
galore.
let me help you. No, 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 no. You don't want the full payout. No, no, no. Like trust me, trust me. Bring your your tattered remains over here. I'll take care of you. No, no, no. I'm gonna take a part of that though, and I'm gonna take a cut of that. Like, I just
It's like payday loans where it's like, oh, do you want your paycheck on Wednesday instead of Friday? And like we take like a 20% cut on it. Like so bad.
the irony of all of this though is like, what's eventually gonna sell there if this platform like truly launches will be 3AC debt.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's the worst part of it all. Like Kyle Davies's wife has like a $59 million claim on it, and Suzu has like a $2 million claim on their debt. So like they get to benefit themselves by selling themselves their own debt while collecting for themselves. You know what I mean? Like it's
So we have wash trading in NFTs. We have wash trading. Like genuinely believe there's wash trading in Ordinals right now as well.
oh yeah,
Uh,
without a doubt.
I believe there's tons of wash trading in just the broader crypto markets. And now you best believe there's going to be wash trading on these freaking debts.
Oh
Like
yeah,
this is
because
insane.
they get to write it. Well, I don't know about them for bankruptcy, but you get to write off like a loss, like you're out if you are owed that amount, that liability. But then you get to claim it on the other side as like an asset, saying like, oh, I can write it off and net negative it. So it's like you're still amounting the same amount of money, but you're claiming a loss in one column, and then you're getting the asset on the back end, even if it's slightly distressed or worth less. But then if they get the full claim, they get to write off all. It's like this whole like you said, it's wash trading and money laundering, basically.
100%. All right, hit me with Odell's favorite scammer of the moment.
Barry Silbert, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy of DCG, the parent company of Foundry, of CoinDesk, of Genesis. I'm missing a couple others. Luxos, I think, is like an exchange. And there's one more company in that I'm missing. But yeah, no, Barry Silbert owes Gemini earned users $900 million. I know they were filing through bankruptcy and they're doing that whole proceeding. But yeah, I mean, things are not looking good for DCG Group, a digital currency group. They're trying to sell CoinDesk. They're giving it like a $50 million valuation. Although I think they were saying 250, but no one's going to pay 250 for that. They were claiming like that's like their 5x their revenue over 5 years or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Man, I mean, watching that saga unfold just via Twitter, much like everyone else, and just it's like, look, I don't think Barry Silbert is in the right here. I don't. I think he's very like doing something shady. I think if you haven't seen Odell's conversation with Peter McCormick, he does a really good job, I think, of explaining what
Yeah.
a reasonable expectation and what at least the right moral thing to do. And I kind of you know, I don't agree with Odell on everything, just like 99% of what he says, and this falls into the 99%. Um, I just think that it raises to me, it raises a little bit of a question that, like, the Winklevi just keep finding themselves in these situations where, like, they they team up with kind of this guy who ends up more or less fucking them over because he was smarter than them.
They're just on the receiving end of it all.
Dude, like, look, they're gonna sue the shit out of Barry Silver. They sued the shit out of Zuckerberg too. Like, look, at a
But
certain
that's
point,
been a
you gotta
good
look
business plan.
yourself in the mirror and be like, why do I keep getting fucked over by the computer science nerds?
It's been a good bet though. They made some good money with these bets of like, even though they lose a shit ton, they
Hey man,
like
they got great lawyers. That family's got great lawyers. Oh.
they get dunked on by nerds.
Seriously, man.
Revenge
Like,
of the Nerds. These two crew guys from Harvard just keep getting dunked on.
they clearly fucked with the nerds back in elementary school like a little too hard. And, like, it went up the food chain of like, hey, if you ever can, fuck them over best you
And
got.
then we've got your favorite elected official Q, Gary Gensler, coming over the top and hitting both of them with lawsuits from the SEC.
I mean, look, Papa Gensler is just,
I
he
don't know who
wants.
he protects. I'm really convinced that you're like, oh, Gary, I was shot. And then he's like, takes a gun and points it at your head and pulls the trigger. Like, that's what he does to everyone. Like, yo, we're out here protecting investors, but they just wait for the damage to be done first.
So you know what I think Gary's angle is, right?
No.
I've never told you this. I had a long conversation with
Oh,
McShane
I
about
think I
this.
think you mentioned it, but enlighten me again.
I think he genuinely wants to talk at the Bitcoin conference. I think that he is like just trying to be like he sees someone like Michael Saylor turn into a celebrity overnight in the Bitcoin community, and he's like, I want that. I want to be. I think he used to watch Bitcoin Magazine Live. He loves the nickname Papa Gensler, and he is so down to come talk at the Bitcoin conference. Really, what I think he's doing, like, in all seriousness, he's just playing politics, and I think he wants to go get a job at a crypto company in the regulatory side. Ideal, like maybe most likely with a Bitcoin company. But I kind of think that's really what he's trying to do.
That's actually funny. Like I was thinking, like, what's his game plan? I think he's due up in 2025 is when his term ends. We don't know who the president will be then, but very well he could get elected again. If not, if they want to put their own person in, depending if it's Republicans or Democrats, what they decide to do. But to your point, like how funny it would be, he's like, yo, many of these are like illegal securities, and then joins a crypto exchange that lists their own like exchange token and like goes into the degeneracy that is like, yo, protect us. I do think it would make more sense if he wants to join a Bitcoin company, like a Bitcoin exchange. I don't want to throw names out there, but an exchange is Bitcoin only. So let's just go with that or stick with that.
Mallers,
basically.
come on, Mallers, just hire him. Hire Papa Gensler to run government relations for Strike, and I'm telling you, a lot of your headaches go away.
Jamie Dimon and Gary Gensler duking it out in
Oh,
court.
give me some popcorn, and I will live stream that for everyone. Please, would
Jamie
love.
Dimon goes after the little guy to be like, yo, I want to fucking regulate you. He's like, yo, my regulators, my homeboys aren't going to do that, my guys. So I think that'd be interesting. We'll see.
Okay. I know you want to give Binance the benefit of the doubt, so we don't have to go into to all of that. I'm just going to read some things from literal quotes from Binance's chief strategy officer, Patrick Hagan.
I'll caveat one thing. I'm giving Binance the benefit of the doubt because they're the only one that hasn't rugged their clients completely. They've rugged certain people. I will agree with that, but yet I will agree. it looks like, I mean, there was like $400 million for Binance USA that moved, and a bunch of the execs at Binance USA are like, we didn't authorize this. We don't know how it did. It literally looks like, CZ was just moving money around exactly like SBF did with FTX before it collapsed. I'm not saying if it's going to collapse. I'm not saying that it's going to collapse. I'm not saying that they are rugging clients, but I'm saying if you got money, as in Bitcoin, on Binance, self-custody your Bitcoin. What are you doing right now? Like, all these exchanges are collapsing. It's only a matter of time.
Okay. So I want to read these quotes from, again, I want to repeat his job title so it hits home for everyone. He is Binance's Chief Strategy Officer, Patrick Hillman. Okay. Their Chief Strategy Officer. Not like a C-suite exec, I don't think, but just, up there. The man says to the Wall Street Journal that Binance was founded and run early on by, quote, software engineers that were not familiar with laws or rules designed to fight bribery, money laundering, and economic sanctions, end quote. And then he goes on to say that Binance is, quote, working with regulators to figure out what are the remediations we have to go through now to make amends for that being the fact that they didn't know the laws when they first founded the company. So he kind of just like, I don't know, I took that as an admission of guilt to a degree. Like, you know what? We did fuck up those things, which honestly to me just begs the question of like, okay, if you guys are willing to admit you guys messed these things up, what is it that you actually are doing that you don't want us to figure out, that you're willing to like so quickly, all right, yeah, here you go. Here, you want your fine money? Here you go. Here's your fine. Now, don't keep looking behind the magic window because you don't want to, I don't know. Am I too much tinfoil hat for you, Chris?
No, I think there's when there's smoke, there's fire, but I don't know. That's just me. I mean, where do they operate out of? They're out of Malta, right? Isn't that where Binance is technically based out of?
Is it? I thought it was Singapore.
I don't think it's Singapore. I think that was, Do Kwon with Terra Luna. I think they're based out of Malta, but I could be wrong. They're looking for regulatory arbitrage. I'll look it up while we're talking.
Okay. I got one more story that's like kind of serious, but you're gonna get so annoyed that I'm telling you this. But like, if you've been following Chris and I's conversation for the last year, you know how important of a topic this is. But you know what's flashing on my indicators last week?
What?
Wheat. Back on the menu, boys.
Back on the menu.
Look, this was just like it came across my desk essentially. I'll just say it like that to make myself sound more important than I actually am. Companies that produce or consume wheat have the largest share of long positions on wheat futures since 2019. In 2019, it was worth about $450, and then it hit all the way to a high of about $1350. If you know me, I bring you hard-hitting facts about Bitcoin, sports, and wheat. Those are the only things I will ever talk to you about on the investment standpoint because, it's a stable crop. Don't forget, you can also buy water futures because, that's the post-apocalyptic world that Chicago Stock Exchange believes that we will head towards. We talked about that a couple times, right? Just about how fucked up it is that, part of my French, that actually, what the fuck am I saying? This is my show. I'll say fuck if I want to. How fucked up it is that, you can buy water futures on the futures market because they view it as like a commodity that is at risk.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's at like a small spread for basis point. What's worse? I mean, I know water is obviously, you need it to live, obviously. But what do you think's more fucked up, that you can basically bet on a country to default on their currency and basically experience economic warfare, or, their currency hyperinflate, or that you're betting on water or wheat or stuff like that?
So
I know water is more. Yeah,
so
but
to be specific, you're essentially saying like a credit default swap.
Yeah, literally
on sovereign debt.
Yeah.
So what is more fucked up? a sovereign debt credit default swap or playing the water. I like water is such a different level to me than wheat that like quite frankly, dude, I'm gonna say water. And the
Yeah.
reason I'm gonna say water is like we can exist without fiat currency. We can exist without, money, without countries. We have. You know what we
So
haven't existed without? Water.
the thing that's interesting though is normally you're buying contracts. So like I don't know how they're not like barrels of water. Maybe it is
No,
barrels of water, but like
no, you're
tankers
not.
of what you're not.
You're not buying like you're no. You're buying
Well, you don't have to
contracts.
take
Like
delivery, but like in the event that things get shit goes hits the fan, they force you to take delivery.
right, but also like keep in mind, like you and I are not even like licensed enough. You might be, I'm not, to go and like trade commodities in the Chicago market.
Yeah. Well, did you hear about I just say this because there was a guy that like was buying he found that there was a bad case of salmonella like 5 or 6 years ago, so he bought a contract of eggs and like these were the few that were good and they basically since it was so short, meaning that there wasn't enough demand, they forced him to take acceptance of the eggs. So he accepted like it was something like 18,000 eggs or
Shut
something
the
like
fuck
that. Dude, he literally bought like metric tons of it. He's like, a metric ton is like 6,000. I forget what it was. So he's like, I've been living off like farm raised eggs out of my house and like selling them.
What? He's eating them? He didn't try to sell them?
He was trying to sell them, but how do you get rid of that many eggs?
Dude, I'm going to the farmer's market every weekend with a stand. I'm literally saying I bought too many eggs on the futures market. Honestly, though, like that's I like that karma. Like,
He
oh,
made a
let
lot
me.
of money on it, and since they were farmers fresh eggs, they don't go bad. Like, actually, you should know this. Did Pete ever tell you this? That like eggs don't go bad. Like you can leave them out at room temperature, and like if they're not like I don't know if they put a coating on it like a lot of times, but they won't go bad if you just leave it in a bowl like in your kitchen, which I never really knew. I don't own my own chickens, of course,
No,
but yeah,
dude.
crazy.
In every other country, like eggs are not in the refrigerated section. Only in
Yeah,
America are they.
that's wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy, crazy, crazy. I need to be more cultured, you know.
Dude, the things they do to the food in America is honestly just deplorable. Do you ever watch the food blog? Uh, I think it's Insider Foods or Food Insider.
No, I don't.
I like their stuff because some of their videos they do like, oh, like this is like your favorite fast food in America. These are all the ingredients, and like this is the same order in the same fast food restaurant from the UK. Because I still eat trash garbage food because I like to eat it. Bite me. Um, and like they talk about how like, oh, like this ingredient that's found in like US's red Gatorade is actually not found in the UK's red Gatorade because it's considered like a cancerous dye. And you're
Yeah.
just
Oh
like,
yeah.
wait, what? And there's like an ingredient like Domino's pepperonis in the US that again is like considered like a not safe for human consumption chemical in the UK, and it's not in the UK's Domino's pepperoni. So
Yeah,
it's like
it's
these like
funny. Like the FDA does like various things, but then it does not do other things. Like it's like, oh, like they'll restrict people from creating their own food or like catching their own rainwater. But then it's like, oh, but if you regulate the private sector, that's not allowed. Like, it's like the complete reverse of like, protecting the people. Like you can't do your own thing, but if we protect the private sector first, but it is what it is.
all right. Before I let you go, because we are coming up on the hour, and you have graced me with your presence, and this has just been absolute. This has been so much fun. Just like,
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be
of
back.
course, but I need your help with something.
Starting
So,
to know you could have just called me earlier, my guy.
I mean, dude, I don't want to even start with that discussion because I'm still so annoyed. I was like, it like light bulb clicked in my head, and I genuinely couldn't do it on that laptop or on that desktop. But
We can get it to
anyways,
work. We'll do it later.
I'm gonna take you up on that because I didn't have
Cool.
to hit you up to set up the stream, which I honestly was so proud of myself that I got it to
I'm
figure.
proud of you, man.
Although, like as you saw today, like I was having a little bit of a hard time. But okay, not the thing that I needed help with. The thing I need help with is I'm gonna just call them my first sponsor, but I'm come up with an affiliate code for my Bitcoin conference promo code. So I figured I'll do it live on camera with you of like, what should I have my code be?
It's got to be at least 4 letters. Unfortunately, the API we have, it's got to be at least 4 letters, and I think it's a max of 12. So it can't be
So
like Q23.
should I do like Q, 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 like 4 Qs? Just like
That would be
Q.
pretty funny. I think Q2023 would work as well, but QQQQ would work. You're gonna get a lot of people like, yo, why am I looking at the NASDAQ though?
But that's the joke.
Yeah.
To me, that's the joke. Some Bitcoiners might actually get really upset by that.
I think either 4Qs or Q2023 works.
Okay. I don't hate that. I got to talk to my agent. She's over Bitcoin Magazine, so I'll talk to her and see what she says.
Who's your agent? You text me who your insider is.
I will text you who my agent is, who approves all of my career decisions at this point going forward.
I think I know who it is, but I've guessed at 2 people. But
Chris, when is your next interview coming out? What do you got cooking up at Bitcoin Magazine? Tell the 3 people who are still awake watching us what you got going on.
Yeah, so tomorrow we got Where Are They Now, which is basically taking after 10 months after pitch day happened at 2022. Tomorrow will be Moon Mortgage talking about where they are, what they've done, what's on their roadmap. On this Wednesday, we have Freedom Money. So we have Matt Odell interviewing Abubakar, I believe is his name. He is a programmer, young kid out of Nigeria, or he's in Africa. Awesome Bitcoiner, really, really humble. And, then on Thursday, we've got FedWatch with Ansel and CK, and come to the Bitcoin conference. Since Q doesn't have his code, I'm going to show my own, Alaimo 10. So that's ALAIMO 10. And you can get, 10% off your tickets for Bitcoin 2023. You go to b.tc/conference. So yeah, thanks for having me, Q. It's been a pleasure. Always.
It is an absolute. Oh, no. Damn it. There we go. And it's always a pleasure to see you, my good friend. To everyone watching, thank you for sticking around. We will be back tomorrow night at the same time, and I will be joined by none other than Real Bitcoin Dog, and we're going to be doing it live and in person together.
Oh, so nice.
He is going to come to my mother's basement, and we're going to do it down here. So come tune in for that. Until next